Hello everybody, this is Pablo Wegesend back at it with another YouTube speech. And we're talking about different types of privilege. It's the fourth part of the series. Basically, I'm talking about how activists, when they talk about white privilege or male privilege, they oversimplify the issue. So let's talk about like those who are European ancestry, whether European Americans or someone from Britain or someone descended from someone who's French or wherever in Europe, okay? European ancestry. Yeah, okay, maybe a lot of situations you are privileged, you're less likely to face discrimination on it, but when you're European and you face discrimination in areas where you're a minority, so a lot of these phony justice activists, they make assumptions like, oh, how dare you complain about me discriminated? Look at what your people did 100 years ago. Or look what your people did in Alabama or Mississippi. Look what your people did here and there. And you shouldn't complain because, history, you don't know your history. You don't know how it feels to be a minority. You don't know how it feels to be African American or Latino or Native American or blah, blah, blah. Okay, hold on. See, that's another stereotype, right? Like, there's a stereotype of your European ancestry that you don't know how other people feel, that you live in a bubble, that as soon as someone disagrees with you, that you feel like you're under attack and all that. It's like, no, it's like you're like European ancestry person and you're like getting attacked or harassed in somewhere like certain areas of Hawaii, which this is where I'm at now, or like certain like urban areas of the continental US, right? And let's say like certain areas of Zimbabwe or whatever. I mean, you're talking about how you feel about being discriminated because you're European American. That doesn't mean that same European American doesn't know history. That doesn't mean that the same European descendant doesn't know how it feels to be discriminated if you're like African American or Native American, whatever. I mean, you can't let's put it this way, okay? It's about Chinese ancestry. In China, they're the dominant ones. In Tibet, the Chinese authorities oppressing them, forced sterilizations. But if a person of Chinese ancestry get discriminated like in Europe or in the US, you don't say, oh, you Chinese, you have no right to complain because your people did this in Tibet and your people did this in to Taiwan, or your people doing this. People don't, these phony justice activists don't do that. Or if you're Japanese, like in Japan, you're the dominant person and your Japanese history, they not only like conquer like Korea and China and Philippines, Indonesia, but they rampage villages, rape women, atrocities. I mean, talking about how Japanese atrocities in China had more victims than the Holocaust. More. But if a Japanese descendant person gets discriminated in, let's just say Texas or Alabama, you don't say to a Japanese person, oh, you shouldn't complain because your people did this to Korea and people did this to Indonesia, you people did this to Micronesia, you people did this in Pearl Harbor. Well, they did, like this whole Japanese internment was because, oh, your people did this in Pearl Harbor, but that was wrong. Just because you're Japanese doesn't mean you're support, what Japanese military did to Pearl Harbor, what Japanese military did in Korea or Micronesia or Philippines. And just because you're Japanese, you're rightfully complaining about being mistreated, doesn't mean that you don't understand the pain of the Filipinos or the Koreans or Micronesians that's being conquered by Japan. Or let's talk about Turk, right? Your Turkish ancestry, okay? Turkey, 100 years ago, was committing mass atrocities against Armenians. Genocide, rape, killing pregnant women, cutting them to pieces. But if you're Turkish ancestry and you're getting discriminated against in like Germany or Russia, I mean, the phony justice warrior is not going to be like, oh, you're Turkish, you shouldn't have a right to complain about discrimination because your people did this to Armenians. They don't do that. You're Hindu in India. These Hindu mobs, rampages villages, burn, religious institutions belong to the Muslims. They burn mosques. They attack Christians. They area of India called Gujarat. They had riots where they killed a whole bunch of Muslims, and these Hindu mobs, cut pregnant women open, cut them open, brutal stuff. Attack people who are celebrating Valentine's Day. Oh, that's a Western thing. So these Hindu mobs were attacking people, but if a Hindu goes to like Great Britain or goes to like Australia or goes to Arizona, and that Hindu gets discriminated, the phony justice warriors say, oh, you're Hindu, you have no right to complain about being discriminated. Your people did this, all these to the Muslims and Christians in your area. Your people did this, and your people had massive riots in Gujarat and all that. But oh, if you're European American, and you're getting discriminated like in, say, in Hawaii, which is right out here, or you're discriminated in like in Africa, or discriminated like in Compton, or wherever else you're in the minority, the phony justice warriors are gonna be like, they're gonna start discriminating. Oh, you shouldn't complain because your people did this to the African Americans, and did this to the Native Americans, did this to the Native Pacific Islanders, and you should never complain that you're not an individual, you're a part of a race that's conquering, that they treat you as you're like genetically engineered to by the devil to like take over and conquer places, which is like the what some of these Nation of Islam types really believe. And apparently some of these activists, when like whether it's the Pacific Island community or what is the Native American community or whatever, they have this. I mean, they won't say it outright like the Nation of Islam will say it. I mean, they're more slick than that, but they tend to believe you're European ancestry, that you're like either genetically designed to conquer, or you're just ignorant, living in a bubble. You're just mad because you're a minority now. Yeah, man, it's like just like we shouldn't be. I mean, who acts like this? Like saying that people should be discriminated, that people should be, mistreated because what other people, their race is. Donald Trump, he does that. Okay. Donald Trump and his racist, deplorables think that, okay, you're Muslim, you should be discriminated against because your people did this in 9/11, your people did this and did this to Christians in Syria, and you people are doing this to Israel. And see, the Donald Trump and his deplorables think that Muslims should just be quiet and be silent because of what ISIS and Al Qaeda and Hamas and all these other crazy groups have done. Right? So it's like, or like during World War II, FDR, like putting Japanese Americans in internment camps, and some of these white supremacists, oh, you Japanese shouldn't complain because your people did this to Pearl Harbor, and your people doing this to Korea, and your people doing this to Philippines or Indonesia. See, that's the same mentality when you're going against, you're saying that those with European ancestry shouldn't complain about being discriminated, or if you're European American, European descent, being complaining about being discriminated, that you're just coming out of your bubble, that you don't know how it is for like African Americans, you don't know how it is for Latinos, you don't know how it is for Native Americans or Pacific Islanders or whatever. It's like, man, people are individuals, okay? I mean, people can multitask, okay? You can be Japanese and be outraged at how the Japanese have military have treated Koreans and the Filipinos and treated the Micronesians and Indonesians during World War II, and you still can have the right to complain about being mistreated for being Japanese. You still have the right to be be upset when people call you a Jap or people call you a gook or whatever. People can multitask. People can multitask. Like by standing up for the rights and being outraged at what their people have done. Right? Like you can be a Turk and Turkish ancestry and be outraged and understand how it is for Armenians who are massacred and killed, and I still have the right to complain about being mistreated for being a Turk in other places. You can be a Hindu, understand the pain of the Muslims and Christians being discriminated in India, and still have the right to complain and be upset when you're being mistreated for being Hindu. Just like if you're a European American, you can understand the pain that the imperialism has caused to the Africans and the Native Americans and the Pacific Islanders and other people. You can understand all that and still have the right and to be upset and feel traumatized when you're being attacked for being European American, like in Hawaii or in Compton or East Oakland or wherever else. Okay, so that's that. So now going to male privilege again. Because this mentality, if you're a man, you don't understand how it is for women, that you should just shut up and be quiet if you're target of sexism, which is another bunch of BS. like, like, I'm a man, okay, I learned about, how women been mistreated in society, how all these double standards of, like how women have to, worry about, getting raped, or worry about, hooking up with a abusive spouse, or worry about, like sexual harassment at work, or being catcalled, and that women are more likely to face that kind of mistreatment, and especially in certain work situations. I can understand all that. At the same time, a man can also be, truly hurt and has the right to, be upset of being, being stereotyped as a pedophile, if you work in early education, or so upset of, like, if if you're in a profession with a lot of women, like say libraries or retail or education, which I've done all three. So I know what it's like to be a gender minority. I know all that. So yeah, I can still be upset when women like feel like trying to exclude me because I'm not a woman, or I can be upset about the situation. Also be upset when women get mistreated at other workplaces. Like women get mistreated in occupations where they're the minority, like women in the military, or women in like in the manual labor jobs like construction, whatever. I can still be outraged at how women get treated in that situation, and still have the right to be upset. People think, okay, if you're a male in the education industry, you must be an abuser or a pedophile, or have like really bad ulterior motives, or like I can like also understand like the trauma that sexual assault or domestic abuse has caused to many women, and still like be upset if like a woman try to attack me, or a woman get all mad and attack me for no reason, or a woman get rid of me for no reason. So people can multitask. People can multitask. Be outraged at how women get treated in certain situations, and also be outraged when men get mistreated in certain situations. So again, like white privilege in certain situations, but white don't have privilege in other situations. Male have privilege in other situations, but other situations males don't have the privilege. So let's keep that in mind when we're talking about male privilege or white privilege. Things are not as simple as that. So understand that. So just because you've been traumatized by a man, or you've been traumatized by European descendants, doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to understand that not every European American is a spoiled racist. And if you're traumatized by a man, not every man is out to rape you and abuse you and all that stuff. And you can understand that like just because you've been discriminated by a European descendant doesn't mean that European descendant pain is real when they get discriminated. Or just because you've been abused by a man doesn't mean that the male pain isn't real when a male get discriminated. So you gotta keep an open mind, okay? You can't just be all stuck in your traumas and not understand how other people feel, or assume that everybody who shares the same characteristics as those who discriminate against you don't feel real pain, or don't feel like real hurt. So yeah, so definitely understand that. So well anyways, so it's been like 13 minutes, so I'm just gonna end it right there, and hope you have a nice